On today's episode, this kit brings 1 cheese stock, a pack of fizz drops, a gallon's worth of grains, your yeast, 1 pack of Chinook hops, 2 packs of Cascade hops, 3 packs of Centennial hops, 5 ounces of corn sugar, and your gold malt extract syrup. So we're going to need a few things for this episode. A hop spider, 1 airlock, measuring container, a funnel, and this one has a strainer in it. This is a Wort Chiller, and if you don't have a Wort Chiller, a bag of ice will do. And then we have some toothpicks as well.
You'll also need a 1-gallon carboy. You'll need your blow-off tubing and a mason jar for sanitizer, a thermometer, your actual sanitizer, a spray bottle for easy sanitation, a stock pot, and your mixing spoon. Alright, so we just got about a little under 1.5 gallons of water to around 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And now we're going to start steeping our grains. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fill them into the cheesecloth over this box so we're not making a mess everywhere. Alrighty, so the next step, we're going to tie this up. We're going to drop it into our stock pot. And we're going to use this toothpick. We're going to tie it off to the side, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't fall to the bottom. So we're going to want to let this steep for about 10 minutes. Make sure you're keeping it in that temperature range between 160 and 170. Any excessive heat can release extra tannins to your brew. Alrighty, so it's been 10 minutes. We're about to remove our grains. And we're going to let it drain a little bit. Make sure you're not squeezing because that can also release extra tannins, which basically will give your beer an off cardboard kind of flavor. So we're going to toss this in here. We're going to turn this up because we want to get this to the boiling temperature, which is 212. And of course, now this is Wort.
Okay, so we've reached our temperature of 212. And I'm going to pull this off the burner here because we're going to start pouring in our gold malt extract syrup, and while we're pouring it in, we don't want it to stick in the bottom. So I'm going to open this up, and this is where you would want to have your mixing spoon handy, and we're just going to pour this in slowly. And for an easy pour, we had the LME sitting in warm water for easy pour. So now that we've got this poured in, I'm going to put this back on top of the burner. We're going to grab our hop spider, put it into the pot, and we're going to put in our first set of hops, the Centennial hops. This is a total of 7 grams, and these are going to be sitting in the boil, the whole boil time of 45 minutes. Okay, so we've reached the 30-minute mark into the boil, and we're going to put in our second set of hops, which are the 3.5 grams of Chinook hops. Now we've reached the 35-minute mark into the boil, and we're going to put in our third set of hops, which are the Centennial hops, which is a total of 3.5 grams. Okay, so we've reached the 40-minute mark, and we're going to put in our fourth addition of hops, which are the Cascade hops, and it's 3.5 grams of hops. And now lastly, we've reached the 45-minute mark, and we're going to shut off our burner. And we're going to put in our last set of hops, which is our Cascade and the Centennial hops. And it's a total of 14 grams altogether. And we're also going to put in our priming sugar, which in this case, it's called the corn sugar. Okay, so we're going to grab our Wort Chiller, and we're going to place it into the wort, and we want to drop this down to a temperature between 60-70 degrees. And if you don't have a Wort Chiller, just fill up your sink full of water with a bag of ice.
All right, so now that we got our temperature down to around 60 degrees, it's safe enough to add the American dry ale yeast. So what we're going to do is go ahead, we're going to sanitize the packet, and then the scissors. Joey, go ahead and start pouring the wort into the carboy, and then we'll be ready to pitch. Okay, so basically the next step, we're going to go ahead and introduce oxygen to it. And what this is going to allow it to do is the yeast is going to multiply, and then it's going to eat up the extra sugar, which will then convert it into your alcohol. Alexa, timer 1 minute.
1 minute, starting now.
So one thing you want to note that you don't want to over add oxygen to this, because that will cause oxidation, and then also will allow for off flavors. So just put a timer in for about a minute and you should be good to go.
I feel like a washing machine.
Just imagine what would happen if I kicked you in the nuts. Would you still hold on to the beer?
It would require all my strength. So like,
If you drop it, you're a dead man. All right, cool. So we're at that final step. So what you're going to want to do, we'll take this cap off and we're going to replace it with our blow-off tubing. And what this is going to do, for a total of 2 weeks, this is going to sit in a cool, dark place. And we're going to only have the blow-off tubing sit on there for about 3 days. And once it's not as active, we could swap it out for our airlock. Now, once it's done fermenting, what you're going to go ahead and do is do your bottling. And then that's going to sit for another 2 weeks. Then you could toss it in the fridge and drink it the next day, and you're good to go. So one thing to mention is you're going to want to keep the mason jar filled with sanitizer. So thank you all for being on this journey with us and going through the Black IPA from Northern Brewer. Let us know what you think. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Give us a like and subscribe on our channel. That will help us grow. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
peace. A funnel, and this one has a strainer in it.
Yeah, the funnel again.